Welcome back to The Full Perspective. We are joined today by our guest, our queen, our princess, Jamie Melley, former Umass field hockey player, captain up in Amherst, as a Division I women's athlete.
Yep.
Jamie, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Yep. Reading, Massachusetts native, Massachusetts through and through.
Yeah. Born and raised.
Yeah.
Yeah, and shout out Derv HQ, shout out Drevi.
Yeah.
Check out that last podcast.
Drevi.
And Heart Title 5 Services.
Yeah, at Heart Title 5 Services.
Always get a shout out.
Paid a big
shout
coin
out the ads.
for our episode, but Drevi started his own clothing brand called Derv HQ. It's, athletic, comfortable clothing that is really fashionable. I've been ripping his hat that he gave me. I'm a huge hat guy.
Yeah, his hat somehow smells and it doesn't even have hair. I don't know how that works, but...
Sounds like you guys got
anyways, yeah, we'll talk about that later. But Jamie, thanks for coming on, and let's dive right into it.
Let's do it. A little about me.
Yeah.
Played field hockey at Umass from Reading, Massachusetts. Now I live in South Boston.
Yeah. Played there for 4 years,
Played
right?
there for 4 years. Now I'm working 9 to 5 in HR, living the dream.
There was, when you were there was like 3 coaches that were there.
I had 3 head coaches over 4 years, so that was a lot of change. But I think it's good. I mean, it's a good life experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's always good
Yeah.
to change.
And you're a captain, correct?
I was, yes.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard to separate okay, I'm not on the field right now. I don't need to be stressing myself out over this one mistake I made on tape and got called out for, like that, different things like that. But it's also the best experience. Wouldn't trade it for the world. But yeah, it was great.
No, I love that. I feel like field hockey is pretty unknown.
I know.
To the general population.
It's an international sport.
Yeah,
correct.
It is
At the end of the
big,
day,
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really big in Europe for men too.
Yeah, men's field hockey is an Olympic sport, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Can you speak on how dangerous it actually is too? Because I've seen some weird injuries in field hockey before, and you're just whacking I don't know much about field hockey, but you're whacking that ball around. That thing is hard as shit, right?
Yeah.
And you don't have a lot of protection at all. Maybe a mask, right? That's it.
No, in college you don't wear a mask. You wear a mouth guard and shin guards, and you just kind of for the best.
But you wear a mask on the
corners.
Corners.
The defensive corners. Yeah.
Essentially like a corner kick in soccer.
Bro, you can get high sticked any second.
Yeah, I got a stick to the forehead once and had to get stitches. So
That's what I'm talking about.
that wasn't great.
You have a scar on your...
Yeah, right here. Little Harry Potter scar.
Damn.
Yo, I got one too on my eyebrow.
Wow.
Yeah.
But talk about the dynamic. I think Alex brought up a good point of it, field hockey being its own sport. You don't know too much about it. I don't, it's like we said, it's an American international sport. So, we obviously live in the States. What's that like playing with the majority of your teammates being international?
It's interesting.
And especially for you, you're from Massachusetts. You went to UMass. So I'm interested to hear about that.
Yeah, at one point, actually, I was the only person from Massachusetts on the team, which was kind of cool. UMass Amherst, you'd think everyone from Massachusetts goes to UMass, which isn't not true. But on the team, I was the only one. So it was really cool to meet different people, but also some of these people have been playing field hockey. It's their culture to you're 2 years old, here's your field hockey stick.
Really?
Yeah, it's just how it is. Similar to I don't know, T-ball and different things over here. So it's interesting to hear what other people do and how the style of it is. They'll do clubs for it's not high school, it's clubs over there.
Similar to hockey.
Probably Triple A's.
Yeah. And then all of their Olympic teams are amazing. The women's team is pretty good too. But our men's team, it's just not as big here. So it's not as competitive as it is in men's over in Europe.
Do they have collegiate men's field hockey? I've never heard of it. Yeah, only women's.
They might have club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a lot of friends that you keep in touch with over the pond?
I do have a few friends I keep in touch with. I got to visit a few of them over there. So it's always nice to call them up and be like, hey, can I come crash in Ireland or Belgium? And they're like, oh, okay.
That's for all the people who think it's a pain in the butt to go from Middleborough to Boston, you're like, oh, it's an hour drive. But your friends are in Ireland. And,
Yeah.
you know, you have
Just
to
get a
go all the way
passport.
there.
You're chilling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was the hardest part? You talked about being a field hockey player. Is it like the everyday grind? Like, I want to touch on that a little bit because that was the hardest part for me as an athlete, and you mentioned it, was a lot of the stuff that happened on the field. I had to get older and realize that that's on the field, and it had nothing to do with everything off the field.
Yep.
Is that something you did as
Definitely.
well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to like walk out of practice and then be like, oh, I have to go to class for 3 hours, but like I'm playing like our conference rival like tomorrow, and like it's hard to like separate it sometimes. But I definitely think like freshman year is like such a hard adjustment from like high school, because you're obviously like the star of the high school. Like I don't know, like that sounds stupid to say, but like
It's true.
You're like, you know, coming from top dog, and then you're like down in what's that saying, like little fish, big pond.
Yep.
Yeah, I
like
said
kind of like that.
Yep.
Yeah, so then you kind of have to like figure literally everything out from scratch almost.
Yeah, I think I said a couple episodes. No, it was Drevi's episode. I said it off air though. I said I'd rather be a little fish in a big pond and grow into a big fish than a big fish in a small pond.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
You know what I'm saying? Because that's how you start climbing that ladder. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the other thing too that people don't realize, and I think a lot of people just say, "Oh, I can play in college." Well,
Yeah.
high school is, you know, you play, and let's say you're an all-star, right? You're a conference all-star. When you get to college, those are the all-stars of high school, right? You're getting every all-star, everybody who's just as good as you. And then the pros, forget about it. You're getting the all-stars of college. So it's like a pyramid, essentially, where, you know, it just gets harder and harder the higher you go up.
That pond keeps getting bigger and more talent, more fish are in that pond, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Did you get better when you got older, though, with that?
I think so. I think you kind of get to the point where you're like, I love this sport and like I love the game, but like you kind of figure out like, why would I play it if it's making me like so stressed? So you can kind of like, I mean, that's why people like, it isn't for them.
Yeah.
Sometimes like they'll be like, you know, it's not for me, but you just kind of realize like, okay, like I'm not going to put too much mental like stress on this one small detail. Like that's just going to end up holding me back.
So you just realize you're just like, why stress about this?
Yeah.
When like you're not even playing field hockey.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah. I think too, when I first started like at Umass freshman and sophomore year, I really used field hockey as like almost like a distraction too, like just like mentally and like emotionally. It's kind of easy to like throw yourself into it and like ignore like other things going on in your life. So I definitely like grew a lot like emotionally and mentally throughout college too, but I did view field hockey as like a huge crutch when I started.
And that must have been stressful too. You said you had 3 different coaches in 4 years.
Yeah.
Was there ever a point where you had the new coach coming in and you're like, I might get cut?
No, I mean, it's obviously in the back of your head. You're like, well, is this coach going to bring, you know, other people that she's, you know, coached before, are they coming in? But it's also in the back of my head too, like sophomore fall, I was just kind of like not in a good spot, like with field hockey. Like I was just like, there's just been so much going on, like kind of questioning, like, is this what I want to do for the next 2.5 years? And then we had a coach coming in that spring. And I kind of was like, if I don't get along with this coach, like maybe I'd look somewhere else, or maybe I wouldn't play field. Like it's just such a big part of your life that if you're not enjoying it, like, why are you doing it?
Yeah.
So, I mean, she did come in and it was great. And like, we had good team culture and dynamics and everything like that. So ended up, you know, staying on the team obviously and like working and all that. But yeah, it's definitely in the back of your head. Like with change, like it's really going to impact the team.
Yeah.
Was there any, I know you said you had a lot of international players on your team. Was there any like language barrier things, or
That's a
people
great
didn't
question.
understand certain language you were saying or slang you were saying? They took it the wrong way? Because I've never played with people like
Yeah.
I
that.
haven't
ever.
either. Yeah.
Like yes and no. Like, I mean, we're lucky that like most other countries speak English.
Yeah.
So like for the most part, there wasn't too much, especially on the field. But sometimes like girls would be like talking in Dutch, and I'd be like, oh yeah.
They're just
Like,
talking shit about you and you don't even know it.
Yeah, but then it's like kind of funny, like other things off the field, like that are like kind of like talking. Like I would say like, oh, that's wicked cool, and my friend was like, what did you just say? Like
Yeah.
I've never heard that before. And then I'd like try to teach her like, oh, like it means like really. So then she'd like use it in like the wrong context and we'd be like, you know, different things like that. It's fun though. It is nice to like experience that because like especially growing up in Massachusetts, I went to school in Massachusetts. I still live in Massachusetts, so it's like nice to have people that like I like can even like stay in touch with and like have different things going on in their life and like they're going different places and doing different things that I would never think of. So.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really cool, and I can relate to that too because I think one of the best perks for me as a baseball player was not playing the game but meeting different people. Like, you know, knowing different people that lived in different states. Now, I didn't play with anyone internationally, so I think that's really cool that you did that. But even for me, like statewide, you know, across 50 states, I played in Kentucky for a summer.
Oh, yeah, you did.
Talk about culture shock, learning about different people. So it's really interesting to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I had a kid who lives in Indiana say, "What the fuck's a munchkin?" to me the other day. And I was like, dude, it's a donut hole, bro.
Really?
Like, it's a donut hole.
Do you think...
It's good.
It's a munchkin, okay?
I'm always laughing because we're going to get like slightly off topic for about a minute here. Are munchkins made, do they make like one donut and then punch a hole in it and then they use that hole as the munchkin? Or do you think they...
I don't think so. I really don't think so. I mean...
where you get donut holes though from?
So munchkins and donut holes, yeah, right? That's exactly. They're the exact same thing. One side of them thinks they just punch the middle of a donut and that's what you get.
That's
right?
what I'm thinking.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. But, like, is Dunkin' Donuts really just punching donuts all fucking day for munchkins? No shot. They're probably just balling it up.
Yeah.
So they have automated machines.
Yeah, right.
Liar. So my question to you, and I think this could be a hard question because maybe you haven't thought about it before, but why were you a captain for UMass?
Oh.
Like, what made the coach decide that you were a captain?
That's a good question. I don't know. I always feel like weird answering like questions about things like that. I don't know. Maybe, well, I've been on the team for 4 years, so that was that. And I don't know, like I was pretty close with a lot of the girls. I definitely was starting to make more of an impact like on the field, but I think like from when I was at UMass, like as a freshman, like, I mean, I don't want to say I'm a morale guy, but
Those are the best type of, those are the best type.
Yeah,
morale
I don't
guys.
know. I had a good dynamic with the team, like in all grades, and was, you know, as you get older on the team, you start to make more of an impact too, just with experience and improvement and everything like that. So probably like pieces of like on the field and off the field, probably more so off the field actually.
Yeah. It sounds like a big part of that was, to interpret what you were saying, was your relationship with your teammates.
Yeah.
Was a big part of that.
Yeah. Thanks for putting that into real words
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah. I mean, that's just the quality of being a leader at the end of the day, right? Bringing a group of people together.
Yeah.
And, you know, going through hashing out conflict, you know, all that type of stuff. So
Yeah.
sounds like you're a good leader.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever have any conflicts as a captain where you're just like, damn, like,
Yeah, there's definitely a couple times.
and we don't, no specifics,
Yeah,
you know,
no.
just,
Yeah, you can say whatever you want.
There's definitely a couple times when you're like in a captain's meeting and you're like, oh, like this is kind of like what goes on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I don't know, kind of things. And I do think like part of being a captain too is like knowing like when the coach is right and knowing when maybe the coach needs like to hear more of the perspective of the team. So I think like coming from like that end is like knowing when to like voice what things to the coach, but also knowing when to voice things to the team because sometimes the team might not get a decision.
yeah.
And it might be like not the easiest one, but it's probably the right one.
Yeah.
And vice versa with the coach.
I would agree with that.
That's well said. And you said there's 3 coaches, right?
Yep. We had my freshman year coach, then I had a sophomore fall coach, then I had the coach my sophomore spring through the rest of the year.
Okay.
Yeah.
How's that dynamic? Do they ever work together or?
So are you talking about the 3 different coaches or the 3 on the staff at the same
3
time?
on the staff at the same time.
So we had 3 on the staff at most times. So
Okay.
when we had different coaches too. And they work together, but like the head coach would be like the head coach and then there'd be like more of like a defensive coach and there'd be more of like an offensive coach. So then like you could do like one-on-ones more with like those coaches, like more technical.
I think your point of having different coaches and your experience as a captain is pretty clear cut of what a captain is, because they say a captain is the players that are going to be in between the team and the coaches, you know, like literally. And I think that's a good answer to that.
Thank
honestly.
you.
Yeah, it's like a middleman.
Yeah. All right, let's jump into before UMass.
Before UMass.
Was UMass like one of many options for field hockey, or?
When I was looking for colleges, I knew I wanted to stay in New England because I wanted to stay close to my family. And so I looked at UMass, but like my brother went to UMass, so I was like, I don't want to go to UMass. Like,
Yeah.
I want to do something different. And then I looked at like Boston schools, and just like some of the NESCAC schools, D3. So I didn't know if I wanted to do D1 or D3. And then I was like, well, maybe it would be nice to try and get like some scholarship money. My parents were definitely happy with that one because you can't at D3. So then, I was down between actually Holy Cross and UMass as like my final two. And I remember my mom said to me, she was like, Holy Cross is a really small school. Like by sophomore year, you're going to know like a lot of people on campus. And I like had like an instant reaction where I was like, oh no, like I don't think I don't think I want to go to a small school. And like had like, you know, when you're like trying to figure out where you want to go and you're like running through all the options. So then I went to UMass for like a camp, and I remember my mom was like, don't commit, like do not verbally commit. Like let's walk through the options. You want to like lay it all out. And I like was over on the other side of the field talking to the coaches, and they're like, so like, you want to come here? And I was like, yeah. And then I like, they're like, awesome. Like you verbally committed. And I was like, great. And then I walked back over and I'm like, holy crap, my mom's going to kill me. And then she was like, okay, like don't, like, she's like, let's just like keep it like on the down low. Like we want to make sure you're using all your options. Like don't like, cause like the big thing was like, you wanted to like tweet like, oh, like verbally committed to. Like,
that's the best.
And so she's like, just like, don't send that tweet out. I know you want to. And both of my brothers were in the car and they're like, oh, damn, like we already did. Like, so yeah, I was out there. But yeah, my mom went to UMass too. So she kind of like wanted me to almost like do my own thing. But it was nice going to UMass. Yeah.
And I'm going to bring it up because Molly mentioned it.
Yeah.
When you were looking at the D3 schools, you played three sports in high school. What you could have played, and what I'm hearing is you could have played 3 sports at the same time.
Well, like field hockey, field hockey was like my number one. I knew I wanted to play in college, but like when you're looking at some D3 schools, they'll be like, oh, like because it's D3, like you can play other sports here too. So like, if I was gonna do it, I would do ice hockey. I didn't really like lacrosse. There's just too many rules, and I couldn't follow them all.
Yep.
But yeah, it would have been interesting, but I definitely probably
you could have played
that.
3 though, for sure.
Like maybe.
Yeah.
You played hockey growing up?
I did. I played ice hockey. That's kind of how I got into field hockey, because I was like, oh, like they're actually like very different, but it's the stick, so like kind of translate a little bit, but. Yeah, I played ice hockey since I was like 6 because both my brothers played, and I was like doing dance classes, and then I was like, why are they playing hockey and I'm not? And my parents were like, oh dang. Like,
who'd you play for?
I played in high school. I played club before high school for Assavit, like way back when. That's how I met my current roommate, Meg. I'll give her a little shout out. She'll like that.
Shout out Meg. Scrambled Megs.
Yeah, and then I don't know if like people get so good at hockey, like really good, and I wasn't like really good. I was good, but I wasn't really good.
This is where Dretta comes in. Hockey, right?
I know a couple like girl hockey players. That's why I was wondering.
Yeah,
like Caroline Drown, actually. I don't know if you know her at all. Probably not.
It's a small world. I'm sure
it
like,
is.
Someone knows her that I know.
Yeah, that's what I was asking.
Yeah.
So what other sports did you play? It was hockey, field hockey, and lacrosse.
Yeah.
Lots of sticks.
Lots of sticks
flying around.
Yeah.
Lots of contact, I would say, for a women sport, right? Can they hit in hockey for women? I don't know. No?
Like, you're not supposed to.
I don't know if that was a dumb question or not. Because I know women's lacrosse, you can't.
Yeah, they can't. It's bullshit. Let them fucking absolutely run somebody, that would be like, I don't know why not.
Well,
Like,
I
it's
was
so
like one of the
stupid.
smaller players, so like sometimes like lower center of gravity like take someone out, but
Literally.
also like they're not gonna give me the penalty. Come on.
No.
You could just, dude,
Were you a center?
I was a center, yeah,
I like that.
but I played defense for field hockey.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty hand in hand though, because center plays the entire ice, like, and really controls a lot of the play in the defensive zone too for breakouts. So
Was that the tier? It was field hockey 1, hockey 2, and then lacrosse 3 in turn.
Yeah.
Did you know you wanted to play a college sport no matter what?
Maybe like sophomore year, I started playing field hockey my freshman year, and then I really liked it and kind of took to it. I think because I played ice hockey and even lacrosse too. Like I've played like lacrosse growing up too, and then it was kind of like, oh well, if you actually would want to do this, like you do have to play club. So then I started playing club field hockey too.
It sounds like your parents had a big influence on you going to UMass. And
yeah, and just sports in general, and my brothers too. Like I don't know if I would have played as many sports as I did if they weren't playing them. Yeah, my family was like very like big supporters of me going to UMass. Like my brothers were like telling people about it before I was even telling people about it, and like they were at like all my games, like senior day, everything like that, which was good. And yeah, good.
is family like a big part of your life?
Yeah, family's a big part of my life. I'm very close with my brothers. Like, I know I can call them and be like I called them the other day and I was like, so you're coming to my apartment at 7 a.m. on September 1st to help me move. And they're like, what?
well, you're
I know
younger
they'll
sis.
they might not be there at 7 a.m., but they'll be there.
Yep.
Yeah, so I go to them for everything. My mom actually passed away my senior year of high school. So me and my brothers got even closer after that. Like, you have to. And they were always there, like, because my mom was such a big supporter of, like, field hockey. She always was like, girls' sports are, like, the coolest thing ever. Like, she had, like, that many opportunity when she was growing up. So she was always, like, the one who's like, yeah, let's drive down to, like, Delaware for this tournament. And let's drive down to Virginia Beach. And let's fly to Florida. And, like,
She was taking you everywhere. For
yeah,
field
yeah.
hockey?
She was, like, number one fan. So, and my dad and my brothers were, too. But they, like, really supported me because they, like, knew, like, how much sports meant to me. And vice versa. Like, sports meant a lot to my brothers, too. Like, my older brother worked for the football team at UMass, so he was, like, very involved with that. My younger brother played lacrosse at college, too, so it was nice to, like, support him for his games and different things like that. Yeah.
I want to take what you just said and just jump ahead a little bit, because you did say something earlier about you didn't know if you wanted to keep going with field hockey.
Yeah.
Did any moment you thought about your mom at that moment and you're like, you know what? I'm gonna keep going. Like, I'm gonna finish this out.
Definitely. Like, I think that was, like, kind of like a battle that I would have in my head where I'd be like, oh, like, this is, like, I'm doing this for my mom, but then it come down to, like, okay, like, I also need to do it for myself, too. And that was sort of, like, going back and forth with that. But I did use it at the same time sort of as a distraction for everything that was, like, going on. Like, I definitely, like, didn't process my grief, like, right away. Like, I mean, I don't think anyone processes it right away, right? But, like, I use field hockey kind of as a distraction because there's so much change going on in my life. Graduating high school, going into college, playing a sport, like, 24/7, like, meeting all these people that I just kind of was like, like, I'm not going to focus on any of that. That's complicated. I'm just going to put on a smile and bottle up everything I'm feeling. And then obviously, like, that doesn't work very well. So I would like call my dad and I'd be like, I don't know, like, blah, blah, blah. And he'd be like, do you want me to come out there? And I'd be like, no. You're like, he's like, was at every game anyways. So, but he was like, maybe you should try, like, talking to someone, like a therapist or something, just to, like, work through, like, my emotions were just, like, tangled and I was tangling them up even more by not doing anything. Definitely bottling them up. And at the same time, like, I know, like, our friends will listen to this and they'll be like, yeah, you idiot. Like, obviously you could go to me at any time. And I'm a lot better at it now, but, like, freshman year and sophomore year of college, like, I would be like, I don't want to burden anyone. Like, I don't want to, like, have people feel pity for me. Like, and, like, it comes down to it, like, you have to, like, open up to people. Like, everyone has, you know, something that they're going through. And how else are you going to get through it without, like, other people helping you, you know?
Yeah, conversations are always healthy, in my opinion. But it does take a lot of courage to come out and actually speak to somebody.
Yeah.
Like that.
Did you see somebody, like a therapist, or did you go through with that? Or?
So I went to, like, one of the, like, sports psychologists freshman year. I think kind of my dad, like, wanted me to go. And I was like, I guess I'll go. But I don't think I was at the point where, like, I wanted to go for myself yet. And I, like, walked out of that meeting and I was like, it's a waste. I didn't love, like, the connection with the guy, too. Like, I think that's something people don't always talk about is, like, it's great to go to therapy, but, like, you have to find the right therapist, too.
100%. It's like a haircut.
Exactly. Like, you gotta date your therapist. Like, so I kind of walked out of it after that, and I was just like, that guy doesn't get me. It was, like, one meeting. Like, obviously, he's not going to get me in one meeting, too, but... and kind of, like, put that wall up even more. Like, I'm like, I'm not going to talk to someone. That was a waste of my time. And then, like, I think it was summer going into my senior year, I, like, came home and I was like, you know what? Like, I am running, like, low on this.
Senior
like,
of college?
Yeah, summer going into my senior year. I came home and I went to my dad again, who's, like, my biggest supporter. And I was like, I think I want to talk to someone. And he was like, perfect. He's like, he's like doing all like the behind the scenes. He's like, don't worry about it. Like, I'll make some calls. Like, you know, like how a dad does.
Yeah.
And then I ended up talking to this lady and I liked her. And I went like weekly or bi-weekly or whatever in the summer. And the first few times, you know, kind of like feeling her out. I was like, oh, like, I do like her. Like, I feel like we're getting off of it. And I just remember like one of like, the early sessions I went with her, I was like describing something like that I was feeling. I don't even know what it was. And I was like, I know, like that's crazy, like for me to do or something. And she was like, you're not crazy. Like that's very valid. And like sometimes to just hear like a stranger, not like a stranger, but like someone who doesn't know you for you be like, wait, no, like outside perspective, like you're doing good. Like we're here, like we're working through it. Like, and I just remember, like, almost, like, a weight, like, coming off my shoulder and being like, wait, I'm not crazy? Like, it's okay that I'm feeling these emotions and, like, having a hard time with it. And, like, that, like, really, really, like, helped me. And then I actually met with her virtually while I was at school. I don't even know if my friends know that. Like, I would meet with her, like, weekly.
Yeah.
Through, like, Zoom in my room. And sometimes there'd be, like, nothing going on. And sometimes I'd be, like, sobbing and not even able to get a word in. But then like those are sessions like afterwards you feel drained, but like okay, like I am making progress like within myself. And I think like I saw a therapist well after college too, like for a few years. And like if I didn't see a therapist, like I would not be in a place where I could even come on this podcast and like talk about my mom dying and like grieving and like therapy. Like if I never went to a therapist, like we'd be sitting here and I'd be like, yeah, I played field hockey. Like, you know? So I think like therapy is like so huge.
It's huge.
And you don't have to have like a traumatic event to have therapy, but
therapy is good.
Just go. Like go and like have someone validate your feelings and work through things with you.
I think that's so important because a lot of people may have the misconception of like, if you go to therapy, you're crazy. Or stuff like that.
Well, that's what I thought. I was like, I don't need to do that.
100%. And like, I've thought it. I'm sure other people have. But it's huge because for me, I like went to I've been a like multiple therapists. And like you said, it's like a haircut. So like, you have to trust your therapist and find the right one, which is huge. But I remember like right now, you know, I've seen a therapist before. And the last time that we saw each other, it was, you know, like, I think you're in a good spot. I'll always be here. So, like, we're not going to meet, like, bi-weekly. It's going to be, like, whenever you want to come see me, you do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's important for people, too, to realize is, like, at first, I think you should go, like, once a week. Like, it should be a schedule. But then eventually you start to get better and better and better and then end up in that spot. But, dude, we've done 8 episodes, right?
Every single one, I believe, have issues. Not issues like that. I mean, like, that had to go to therapy.
At least 3 off the top of my head, for sure.
traumatic
Yeah.
experience,
Yeah. And
which is very healthy and normal, I think,
Yeah.
in general
Yeah.
for people. So
it's also reassuring too because a therapist sees a million clients, right? That's their
Right.
job.
mhm.
So for a therapist to be like, no, that's normal. I've seen people like this before. You're like, oh.
Yeah.
So I'm not battling myself in my head being like, I'm the only person in the world thinking this.
Right.
Yeah.
Weight of the world on your shoulders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's good. So then you did that in you did it in college, right?
Senior
you
year
said?
of college, and then like a little bit after college too, because also like there's other things going on. Like graduating college, like I didn't have a job lined up. Like I was like sweating.
Yeah.
Like what am I gonna do with my life?
Yep.
And then it's just nice to like talk to people. You move back in at home after college, and you're like had all that independence. Now you're like, oh yeah, okay, I'm back home. And it's not like my dad was like, you have curfew, like, or anything like that, but it's just like different,
Yeah.
and it's a lot of change. So it's nice to even just go through small changes, not small changes, but with someone to talk to and be like, okay, like, what are you going to do about that? And how are you going to, make it better for yourself and different things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So going off of that to bring a lighter side of things, if you want to call it that, I think everything's light, but this is kind of funny. You biked 90 motherfucking miles last weekend.
Yeah.
For charity, right? For your mom, what was it, Dana
Farber and the Jimmy Fund. So me and my dad both did that. And yeah, we biked 90 miles from Wellesley to Bourne. And it was really hard, but it was like really fun. Like everyone that's there like has a story, like why they're riding. And everyone also is like, you have like a thing that says like how many years you do it. So like some people have been doing it for like 30 years. And so mine was like first year, and random
Rookie.
people would come up to me and be like, year one, like, let's go. Like, and they like slap you on the back, you got this, keep going. So it's like it's a really cool experience. I'm trying to recruit for a team next year.
I'm in.
You're in? On air, you're in?
I'm on air, in. Dread is in.
I don't
have a bike.
Can't
Go Facebook Marketplace. I got mine on Facebook Marketplace.
look.
Okay. Yeah, motorized.
Yeah, that's city.
Some people
City likes
would do
charge
like
license.
the tandem bikes, so it's like the double people on the bike. So maybe you guys could do that.
I'm not gonna be like you and verbally commit to this.
I'm committing right now.
I'm gonna have to think about it.
I'm proud to announce that I've officially committed to the Dana Farber 90-mile bike
Look,
ride.
I got a Peloton. Okay.
Mark your calendar for first week of next
I'm in.
August.
And it was also 90 degrees the day that you did it.
Yeah, it was hot. It was hot. It was fine in the morning. It was like kind of shady, but definitely like towards the end, I was like, all right, let's get this going.
Is there like an estimated calorie burn on that? Like how much is that?
Did you wear your Apple Watch?
Yeah, it like died though halfway through because I have an old one. But my dad actually recently got a new Apple Watch, so it was like 4,000 calories or something.
Oh my.
So yeah, then I went out to dinner with my friends, and
We had
a
90
nice,
mudslides
nice meals,
for you.
some nice drinks,
Yep.
and it was really fun.
That was awesome. What a good cause, though.
Me
yeah.
and my dad have raised over $12,000 for cancer research.
Love that.
You can still donate. Plug it.
Yeah,
We'll do
let's- yeah.
Yeah,
plug
yeah.
down
Yep.
here.
Easy.
Link
Put it
Easy.
right here. Yeah, so that's
in the
like really cool.
description.
Yep.
Perfect.
It's nice
Yeah.
to do something nice.
Yeah. That's awesome. Drevi, last episode, 10% to men's mental health for his clothing brand.
Yep.
And here you are donating to cancer research for a great cause, biking 90 miles.
What did you eat before it though? Like you gotta fuel up, right? Like
well, I'm
10
not
pounds
really-
of pasta?
Oh, we went to Bertucci's for dinner. the night before. Got my 4 cheese ravioli,
Yeah.
obviously. Yeah, and then they have like stops along the way. So there's like lunch stop and like snack stop. So I was going after those PB&Js.
Yeah. People just throwing you like the G Fuel squares. and you just-
Yeah.
Yeah. I was on pace to run a half marathon for about 2 minutes. I ran like
would
7 miles
I
one
would
time.
run a half marathon with you.
It's hard. It is hard. Oh, our guy, Josh Lemieux, ran a half marathon
He did.
casually the other day.
Yeah. And
Shout out Josh Lemieux.
my mom
Lemons.
ran the Boston Marathon.
Your mom did. Good for her. What did she raise money for?
She just run it.
Oh.
You know, like how you just run the Boston Marathon.
Don't you have to have like a
I thought you
charity
had to
for
have a
that?
charity.
I have no idea. This was a long time ago, so I do not know.
Maybe they
Wow,
choose.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know
Would
specifics,
you ever run a
but
marathon?
It's hard. I can't sit here and tell you I'd run 26 miles.
What about 13?
Actually,
13,
you know what?
I think you can do. I think anybody who actually wants to run a half marathon can run a half marathon. Yeah, but overall, I think we really touched everything. I'm not wrapping up here, but I feel like we've touched every aspect of.
I'll probably ask one last little question, kind of bring it back in.
Once again, I'm not wrapping up here, so
but this could extend a little bit because it's more on the deeper side. Was your transition from high school to college and everything going on at that moment, was that so far the hardest moment in your life?
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
What made it, like, what points during that transition were the hardest for you?
I really struggled like talking about it, like even just being like, I don't know, like talking about like a memory about my mom. Like I like couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going from like small town, like I grew up in Reading, everyone knew me. So I was going from like, oh, everyone knows my story. I don't really have to talk about it.
Yep. Continue.
So I don't really have to talk about it. But then I went to Umass and people would be like, oh, like, are your parents coming this weekend? And like something as simple as that, I'd be like, my dad's going to be here. Like, like I just like couldn't even like say, and like, that was like a big thing for me. It was like, how do I tell people that like my mom died?
Mm-hmm.
And like looking back on it, I'm like, that's so stupid. Like people are going to like, I just didn't want people to pity me. And I kind of, but I also at the same time, I like could not talk about it. Like I could not.
It's also like a fair trigger to have, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's so traumatic and it comes up probably like once a day. Like, I don't know, me and Ed have conversations.
Right.
With, oh, yo, like my mom did this. And like, he's like, yo, my mom had to go to the hospital the other day or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you can't really have that conversation. Or it's hard to have that conversation. It's tough.
Yeah, it is hard. Know? I mean, I'm in like such a good spot now.
Yeah.
Like, my friends
that's
will
amazing.
yell at me because like I'll make like dead mom jokes.
Oh, God.
But you gotta have the dark humor, You're not laughing.
Hey.
I've been on the other side of that. It's just like, Jamie, come on. Like, that's not even funny.
Yeah.
And so what I wanted to kind of like bring that into, though.
Look at us, we're laughing.
Was, do you have any advice for people who have had the similar things happen to them in their life and they're making a big transition like you did?
Yeah.
Is there anything you did that helped you along the way? Maybe I don't know, you had a good schedule or... Yeah,
I'm definitely a routine person. Like, that's super helpful. But also, like, knowing, like, you don't have to go to therapy. Like, you can go and talk to, like, your friend. Like, they're your friend. Like, they're going to want to help you. Like, I was definitely, like, in a spot where it was, like, I'm going to do this on my own, and, like, this is my problem, and, like, no one else is. And that's just, like, not life, like in any issue, like big or small. Like you need to have a support system and you need to like use your support system. So that'd be my advice. It's like, don't be afraid to talk to the therapist, find the right therapist to talk to, but also like talk to your friends and family. Like and they'll be there to support you. They'll be there. Yeah.
I love it.
That was my thing when, I know you mentioned it before, we're talking about something different, but when you said like the aspect of your field hockey life, you'd think about shit when you're just not playing field hockey, the friends aspect of things, as soon as I said like, baseball is baseball, whatever, the thing I care most about is my friends. Like that's when I started to like feel better. And, like to go off of that, like that's what helped me.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's also like, I know like one girl on my team one time was like, how many people in your life are you like running across a sprinted line, you're doing sprints with and like, coming close to like throwing up and they're just like pick your head up and go, like such a bonding experience.
Yeah.
It's friendships.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
How do you close this thing out?
Are you done? Have you said everything that you want to say?
We've stated multiple times we're all starving.
Yeah.
So
Dairy Queen, we're gonna get Dairy Queen. Lems is like in. He couldn't be any more in. Middleborough, Mass, home of Dairy Queen. I don't know. Dairy Queen isn't in too many towns, but Middleborough has
one in North Reading.
Yeah. So we're going to go, we'll wrap this up by saying, first of all, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for hearts everywhere. Thanks for opening up and getting the full perspective of Jamie, because I think, we've known each other for a long time. Actually, when was the first time we met?
I don't know, like the first time we met, but I was just like saying hi to you.
Yeah. I was like, hi.
I was like, oh, this kid on the baseball team I don't know. Like, nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Hey, Eddie. We're going to be friends.
Yeah. Whether you like it or not. But no, we've known each other for a long time, and I've learned stuff about you today that I didn't know. Same thing with our other guests that we've had in here. So that's what we're bringing in with the full perspective. A lot of people look at you and be like, oh, you played field hockey at Umass. That's great.
It's a great
like, you're
name
from
for a
Reading.
podcast.
Blah, blah, blah. You know, you learned about Jamie Melley today.
Yes, you did.
You know?
Yeah.
So with that being said, I think it's time for us to, on Sunday at 4 o'clock, go eat some ice cream and go in the pool and, you know, wrap up this episode.
Absolutely. Yeah. And thank you again for coming on.
Yeah.
Thanks for having
absolutely.
me. This is awesome.
Can you just say goodbye in that voice that you...
That I've been working on?
Yeah.
Goodbye.